Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello to the Marf channel.
Yes, we are gonna do a podcast in the nature preserve. I love this place. I love this spot. Anyway,
I haven't been here that much, like during my whole tenure as like an FIU student.
Yeah.
But no, it's really nice. Like you really forget that you're on campus. I feel like I'm in an actual forest right now.
Yeah, there was a point in my college career where I was coming here like all the time. Like this was ingrained in my schedule.
Like how often would you
like
say?
my junior year especially, I was coming here like all the time.
Like how often? Was all the time?
Like multiple times a week.
That sounds.
I would just chill in the tree. I would just like
you would climb
I
the
would
tree.
just chill. Yeah, I love it. But then I fell off this past year. I didn't do it that much.
I can just imagine walking through a nature preserve and I just
you
see you
see
like
me in a tree.
I feel like that would be a very refreshing habit.
It's fun.
Like you just chill, and what you would chill and
because
just like
you're kind
read
of
or like
no, I would just kind of sit
and think and just
kind of do whatever.
You be like on your phone?
No, I would try not to be on my phone.
Damn.
Because I feel like that they kind of counteract each other. Like if you're in
so you know
in the nature, you don't want to be on your phone.
I was Bailey's TA for Miami, in Miami, and so we went to the Deer Estate to do like a cleanup.
Oh, was that the Chicken Key?
We were supposed to do Chicken Key, but then we went and it was windy. Like he was like, "Oh, we're gonna play it by ear."
Okay.
So we showed up and it was too windy. He's like, "Oh, don't worry. Like we're gonna go clean up like a very rarely visited section."
Don't worry. There's more to clean up. There's always
So
more
we were walking, and then one of his students asked him like, "Oh, can we play music?" And he said yes, and I was so upset because we were walking.
It depends on music.
It was like Travis Scott and like.
Okay, then.
We were in the and like Spanish music, and it just completely like ruined for me because before that it was quiet. You could like hear the streams a little bit.
You're more of that kind of. You were like, can we just sit and like.
Thing is, I like Travis Scott.
Enjoy the sounds.
I went to a Travis Scott concert. Like I'm a Travis Scott fan, but I think there are just.
I'm like, you made it out alive though. That's good.
Yeah.
That's the thing that freaks me out. But anyway, continue.
It was crazy. I got floor seats too, so I was part of like the moshing pits. Like it was real. It felt like it was a journey for sure.
People died.
That's true.
That's crazy.
That's true. Yeah. But no, I mean, I went with like friends and like.
Okay, you were protected.
We were kind of like, we kept an eye on each other. But
anyway,
what I was saying was we were walking through the nature preserve and it was like Travis Scott and it was like Spanish music, and it definitely kind of like. I was annoyed, for sure. I feel like you lose.
I feel like it doesn't fit. If I'm playing Travis Scott in here, it's like, what? Do the trees want to hear Travis Scott? Like, no.
I don't want to hear Travis Scott. Like.
No, I'm not to like say that the trees are like biased, but I just feel like that's not like a tree like vibe. I don't know. I feel like they want to hear peaceful music.
Even just music, I don't know. I feel like there's a time and place for everything.
Sometimes I would come here and I would sing, but not to
that
the trees.
But
I would just do it because I'm
like. That's natural, like.
Because I sing like everywhere, like when I'm on the toilet, like I'm just singing, like I just what I mean?
On the toilet. I don't know about that.
This morning I was seeing Video Games by Lana Del Rey. I'm like, because I'm like completely alone in my dorm now, so I'm like, if anyone hears me down the hall, I probably think I'm like crazy, but
damn,
I sing all the time.
Has everyone moved out already?
Yeah.
So Alex graduated too?
Well, she hasn't graduated. She graduates Thursday. But she hasn't completely moved out though. Like she's not staying here, but she still has stuff in here. If that makes sense. We can move on to. I just want to I didn't introduce you. This is my friend Nico. We're both honors. We've both done study abroad, so we haven't done the same ones.
We haven't done any class together. I feel like the way we've met...
Oh, yeah, that's true. We didn't even have any class together. We've done similar classes, though, like the acting class, but we didn't do it together.
Okay,
yeah.
For sure. I think the way we've met and the way we've, like, maintained our connection is very, like, college-esque. Where, like, you kind of just bump into someone at a party, and you just become friends. You see them on campus. Like, it's very, like you're part of a community.
Yeah.
And then like you see someone more often.
Yeah.
Like Like that doesn't happen in like the suburbs.
So that's the thing. When I saw on the, I don't know if it was LinkedIn or whatever, but I saw. I've kind of been popping on LinkedIn recently. Just saying.
It's just,
and I want to get on that.
Other stories are just like they're so like, I think they're posturing so much. Like,
no,
today,
it's bragging.
I ran a meeting.
Bragging.
I ran a meeting and I grew so much from the experience. Thank you to this and that for having me. And I'm just like,
It is a place to flex. Like that. It's like no shame. It is a place to flex. Maybe we should evolve it, and maybe it could be a place for like actual, tangible, I don't know, like advocacy or
I mean,
something.
I get it.
I don't know.
I get it. It's you know, it's for employment.
It's schmoozing.
It's for employment. I get it.
Right.
But like.
Okay, but my point was, because you were saying at the honors ceremony, because there was two, and I went to the other one, you went to the other one.
Yeah.
And the speakers were different.
Uh-huh.
I saw it on the poster. The one that spoke at mine, he was talking about how like this is a walkable community and you're part of a community and you can just like randomly collide with people, like just randomly bumping into people. And I love that, like being able to walk down the street here and, you know, see somebody that I know and just like strike a random conversation. Because I feel like when you're living in the suburbs, say, you know, you can invite people over to your house. Mm-hmm. Even here, like I can invite people over my dorm, but it's more natural when you just like bump into people just like organically. And then you can start going on a walk or hanging out. Like it's less like, I guess, pressure in a way.
I think it's because when you bump into someone, your schedules align, like your free time just aligns in that moment. Mm-hmm. Versus where it's kind of like, oh, you want to like hang out at 2, and it's like, oh, I got a class at 2. How about 3? And it's like, oh, I gym at 3. Like it's just, I feel like it's hard.
Gym at 3.
it's hard to coordinate things with people.
Yeah.
But when you bump into someone, I think low effort is kind of like a way to explain it.
But it's not a bad thing. It's like a good.
It's a good low effort. You know? I mean, it does matter because some people are just like, oh hey, what's up, and then that's it.
Right.
Like you can kind of tell who wants to like stop and chat, and who just wants to like say hi and like leave.
But what I do like though is you feel more connected when you are walking down the street and you just see people that you know, even if it's for a short bit. It's like, oh, like people know me. I love that. And I mean, and that can bring me to this point of, you know, the fact that I'm leaving, you know, and it's like I'm kind of leaving a lot of this stuff behind. The people that I am able to just like randomly collide with on campus. But I don't know, it's weird because I feel like I should be more upset than I am in a way because I'm losing that. Like be more like sad. But I'm not necessarily.
You weren't sad like a couple days ago?
I mean, I was. I was sad, but I'm not really sad like anymore. Like a part of me is like I'm ready, and a part of me is like, but shouldn't I still feel like longing? But I'm like, I don't know. I'm like I'm kind of ready for this next chapter, and hopefully I can make a new like community, you know, fit somewhere in there. But this, I'm like, I guess it's okay, you know. I don't want to be like I'm losing everything, you know.
That's what
because I don't think that I am
losing anything.
I'm losing this,
like,
but I'm not losing like everything. I'm not like, even the people that I've made friends with here, we have phones. Like, and I know people will say like, oh, we'll keep in touch, and maybe not everyone will keep in touch, but like, I guess it is what it is.
I think the people who like it was a real genuine connection, I think they'll keep in touch. The only bad thing is it won't be as often. Like I won't be able to like go on a walk with you now as often, and that's just something like you kind of have to accept. And that's like I think I'm ready in a sense of like leaving like school and actually trying to like figure out what the hell I'm gonna do. But what I'm most worried about is losing the social environment. I think college is like a built-in social environment. Clubs, you know, just people walking around.
What kind of clubs?
like academic type. Like, you know, I would go to writing club. I would go to like the theater room, the theater department. They would have like hot cocoa conclave. Like it was just like these little things where you could just go and have like a group or a community.
Yeah.
Now I think what I'm worried about is now I'm gonna have to like actually like reach out to people and be like.
Yeah, and then so it takes more effort.
And even then too, reach out to people, but
yeah,
it's gonna be hard to get groups of people together now. Like if I reach out, I would be to hang out with someone one-on-one.
Yeah, I don't, because I think for me though with the group situation, it's like there's not really many groups that I'm a part of. A lot of it is kind of like individual friendships that I have. So that, and if I wanted to combine them, then sure. But to your point about like the being a part of a club, that is also something that I'm gonna miss, because when you're in college, you're able to join a club, you're able to be a part of like a group meeting. But once you leave, it's like, well, what? I just have like my work and my home. Like, what else do I have? Like, you have to join something. You have to join like those adult things. It's like, what even is that? You know, because I'm sure they have writing clubs.
Yeah, I mean, there's like an app called like Meetup, I think.
Yeah,
you can, like, kind of make friends.
I've
but
heard
I don't
about
know,
that.
like, I've never done it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like the online dating of like trying to make friends.
True. But with the kind of like actual architecture that we have, it kind of, what else can we do? Because you can't necessarily just, hold on, let me see, that's my mom. No, it's not. But yeah, you can't just walk down the street in the suburbs and like, I don't know, join it's different. Like it kind of forces you to do those things so you're not lonely, you know? Or, hold on. Sorry. But yeah. I also think some of that stuff costs money too. Like, and it's also, when you are on campus, it's a kind of a controlled thing. Like, you know, it's FIU students. You know, like, you know, it's college kids. When you go out into the real world and it's all these other groups, it's like, you don't know who these people are, where they're coming from, what, you know what I mean? There's a lack of like organization in a way.
Okay.
Or like does that make sense? Yeah,
there's like a lack of like,
I mean, I guess it depends on, you know, there are some organizations that are
like credibility.
Yeah, that have that, but otherwise it's like we're just randomly going for, there's like run clubs and stuff, but like, I don't know. You have to put more effort.
That's the hard part for sure.
That's why I don't like living, that's why I don't like living what am I saying? But like, that's what I don't like living about. That's not how you say that. That's what I do not like about living. There you go. That's what I do not like about living in the suburbs. Because when I go back home, it's like, I'll just have my suburban house, my family, and then, you know, I have a couple friends here and there, but it's the random collisions and the feeling like you're connected to the community is going to dwindle.
For sure, like, as a commuter, there was definitely a difference in the days between I went to campus and the days I would stay home. The difference was just like stark. Like the days I go to campus, I'd feel way more energized. I just feel way more like happier. I could physically feel the difference. I had one semester where I only had like one class on campus and like 3 classes online. Horrible. And I actually like, I forced myself to like come to campus, to like go to a club meeting, even when I didn't have class. And I would have to push through that friction of like driving there.
That a lot of that's like the deterrent for me when like going places. I'm like, I hate driving though. Like, I don't want to have to drive there. Like, if I could walk there, if I could even take like a metro. That's why I always thought like, oh, I should live in a city, you know. Because even FIU is kind of removed from
like everything,
like the FIU itself has its like little city going, but what I do like though, because even living on campus, the days I didn't have class, like I could still feel disconnected. Like maybe I just need more, but what I liked is there are certain places you can sit and you're bound to like run into people, which I like. It's like, I'm sitting here because I'm gonna do my work, but like I also want to talk to people, but like organically, you know.
There'd be some days where if I was feeling like especially like lonely, I guess, I'd be like, I'm gonna just sit in GC. Or
and
like
you'll find people.
There's like these tables outside of GC You know, it's like a table and like a little umbrella. But it's
Yeah,
where
but
like the guy plays the music.
Yeah, that's where I like to go.
I'd sometimes just sit there.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, come.
Yeah, that's what I would do. That's why I was there the other day, like Thursday. So I was like, everything was like ending. Like I just did the honors graduation Wednesday, and I'm like, well, and my dad left Thursday, and I was like, well, now there's nobody, and everybody was moving out. So I was like, I'm gonna go to that place and see if anybody's there.
He was playing some good music. Like I said it earlier when we were there, but it felt like ending credits, like music.
It did, but you know what's
like,
funny
damn.
with him? He was this, because there's this guy that plays music like randomly. He sets up this whole speaker.
I forgot we have an audience.
Yeah, that's fine. We set up this whole. He sets up this speaker right outside of GC, and there's like these. It's basically kind of like the town square.
Yeah,
you know,
like if you go to FIU, like you know who we're talking about. He always has like a computer set up, and he's playing music right outside of GC.
But he said we were talking to him, and he said he has this talent for like always knowing what to play at the right time, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not true. I mean, I guess maybe you can't please everybody, but I'm like, some of the music that he's playing.
When he was saying that, I was kind of believing him.
No,
I'm like, damn, you know, every time I walk by you, I'm always
like,
like,
a nuisance. Sometimes it's like,
nuisance?
Sometimes I'm like, you're playing like this music is loud and it's like techno, and it's not what I'm in the mood for.
He's played techno before.
I feel like he's played techno.
I feel like
before.
I've mainly heard him play like reggae.
It is mainly reggae, but I've heard him play some wacky stuff. I feel like. Like a year, I feel like last year he was. Anyway, the music though he was playing that on Thursday night was like you were sitting outside in this restaurant, like in somewhere in Europe. Like I loved that vibe. I was like that was a great vibe. But maybe I'm also just not the biggest like reggae. I'm not always in the mood for reggae too. So I'm like, how can you play something that like, you know, you always know what to play at the right time? When it's like, not everybody's cup of tea is your music. I'm just saying you can't deal in absolutes. That's all
For
I'm saying.
sure. He said it with supreme confidence, though, and I think that's what made me believe him. I'm like, damn, maybe
No, but
you're
he was
right.
saying other things in supreme and that's what. But
Everything he said was in supreme confidence.
And I'm like,
I wonder if is that the optimal way of living? Like, just kind of a delusional confidence.
He was kind of delusional.
But it kind of worked. Like I found myself listening to him because he just felt so like.
For me, I was like, you're full of it. Like I don't know, but maybe I'm just more cynical.
Cynical, yeah. But
there were some things where I'm like, okay, like, you know, simple living, just go off like the vibes and the flow, and I'm like, yes. But then other things, I'm like, I don't even remember. But for me, I just remember thinking like, when is this over? I'm like, you're just talking, and I just am not. I don't agree. You know. So yeah. Anyway, I don't even know his name. What's his name?
You know, I was gonna ask you that because
I asked him.
You asked him.
I asked him his name, and I do not remember.
I don't remember either.
Damn, now I feel bad.
He's watching this video right
Yeah,
now.
imagine he's watching. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. Wish you the best. I don't know. A part of me just didn't like trust him. Like there was a vibe from him. Like I don't know if I
trust him
because he says like he's an FIU student, and I don't know how much I like believe what he's telling us. But
that's
maybe
the thing
I'm
about
just,
like.
He said he's a graduate student though, so maybe I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I do believe him.
I'm like, where's your Panther ID?
I do believe him because one time I saw like I sneaked a peek at his computer. I mean, I was standing with him, and he was like on Canvas working on like a discussion post.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, yeah, you are like a student.
But he also says that he travels back and forth to the Caribbean a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that for like months at a time? Like, how do you do that if you have class? You know?
Maybe he's like a remote type worker.
I don't know, man. Anyway, this man. But those are the things you'll miss, like the quirky characters.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him for the first time maybe like a couple weeks ago. And he was always like an FIU character.
Yeah.
Like I think since my sophomore year.
Yeah.
He's always that guy. Like I walk in GC and he's playing music.
Yeah.
And then just one day I'm like, yo, like I'm about to leave. Might as well talk to him.
Yeah. I think I used to be scared because I was like, who's this random guy? But then I'm like, you know, whatever. I'm gonna just talk to him. But yeah.
So movies.
Challengers. Apparently, Nico has never heard of this movie.
I had no idea.
How have you never heard of this movie? Anyway, I watched it yesterday, and it's funny because I could do a whole other podcast probably with Alex and Leo on this because that's who I watched it with yesterday. But it was just funny because you think like the movie is hyped. The movie is hyped up so much, so you think it's going to be a good movie. You think
not hyped up enough. I haven't heard about it.
Okay, well, maybe we're on different types of two sides of Instagram.
Our algorithms.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It didn't. I was like, what's the plot? What's the story? Like it felt like it lacked. And again, it's like very kind of like graphic and like sexual, and I'm like, what? But like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of it to advance the story?
Did you by any chance watch Wonka?
I haven't.
So I saw Wonka, and I didn't like it too much.
It kind of looks bad. Like it.
I saw it with my sister, and my sister loved it, and I talked to other people, and they loved it too.
Yeah.
But it just felt like it was trying to sell me a dream, you know?
Of what?
I think it was a classic, like, rags to riches type story. You know, Wonka.
Does the story focus on Willy Wonka? Like him rags to riches? Or
Yeah, it's him, but it's like a little group too.
Okay.
Like he gets into like this little...
So there's that little girl, right?
Yeah. But like I finished watching it, and it just felt like it almost felt like an opiate to the masses type thing. I think, who said that? I think Karl Marx might have said that. Or he said religion is the opiate of the masses.
Oh, wow.
But like I saw that movie, and my sister was like so like happy or whatever, and I'm just like they're just selling you like a dream. Like it felt very
movies
like...
can be a form of escapism.
For sure. I think
not necessarily in a bad way, but it's like you want to have a happier, lighter world to like.
And that's what my sister was arguing. She's like,
yeah.
I go to movies to forget about like real world problems, and I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I watch movies to like learn something about life. You know, I feel like the good movies is, you know,
more insightful.
Yeah, like everyone has their own like perspective on life. You know, just based on how they were raised, like. They view, like, their lens is different.
Yeah.
So, like, a movie is kind of like seeing life through their lens. I'm like, okay, I get what you're trying to say.
But the thing with Wonka is, like, it's supposed to be silly, goofy, and dumb. Like, they're like, spraying chocolate everywhere. You know? Like, that's why I didn't want to watch it, because I'm like, this doesn't seem like my type of movie. And it could be the same for you, you know? Like,
yeah, it definitely wasn't my type of movie. It was too, like...
And I think with...
But even with like Disney movies,
acting?
I really like Disney movies because I think Disney movies are like, they're like happy and stuff, but they're like real. There's like real lessons in them.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah.
And that one, it just kind of felt very like it's gonna work out.
Like, is it more the writing, the story, or also the actors? Like, what?
I think it was the writing.
Because that's the thing that I've noticed too. Like, I there's nothing necessarily wrong with the actors. Like, even if you get like a star-studded cast, it's like, even with Challengers yesterday, like the writing, I'm like, what is going on? Like the actors aren't necessarily a problem. It's the script that's the problem. Oh, did he catch that?
Damn, probably. That's
We'll
a highlight right there. That's the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I saw this one movie recently. So there was the Miami Film Festival here.
Oh, did you go?
I went to watch one movie.
Oh, that's cool.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Was it free, or did you have to pay?
No, you have to, like, each movie is like $14. I saw one movie.
Okay.
And it's just a bunch of movies. They're all mainly foreign films. And then I saw one movie, it was a Spanish movie. It was called Rain. Do you know what rain is in Spanish?
Is it Weve or something?
Lluvia. So the movie is called Lluvia. And it was like amazing. Like, I was actually blown away by it. And
what is it about?
The premise, it was like, it's Mexico City, and it's always raining, hence the name Lluvia. But it was kind of like, it was like 6 different storylines, and they overlap just a little bit, but not like one storyline followed like it's kind of like Pulp Fiction a little bit. But Pulp Fiction is like, you know, it's out of order.
I did not love Pulp Fiction.
Damn,
we could talk about that too.
Damn,
I did not love that. The same thing. I'm like, what's the story? What's the plot? It's just like a bunch of things happening.
I don't
But
think
what's
Pulp
the
Fiction
plot?
has a necessary plot. I think Pulp Fiction is more just to show like not how random life is, but like these like the dudes pull up in like Hawaiian clothes, and you're like, why are they in Hawaiian clothes? And then
It all connects.
and then they actually had to like clean up a body in a car. Like that stuff probably happens, and I think Pulp Fiction is kind of like a peek into that.
I mean, it is funny how it all kind of intertwines, but I didn't.
Honestly, it's
also
just,
like
it's just like a cool
the basement
movie.
scene. Really, like I'm like, this is disgusting. It's
the basement scene.
I saw that when I was like in middle school or so. I don't know, because my parents didn't monitor what I was watching, so I was like, oh, Pulp Fiction, it's a classic movie, and I watched it, and I was like horrified.
You should watch it again, maybe.
I did watch it again. I watched it again this past year.
And still horrified?
And so I'm like, I'm not as horrified, but it's still horrible, but
it
I'm
has
like...
really good, like, I think it's very, like...
I do like Samuel Jackson's... Is that his name?
Yeah.
That's his name?
Yeah.
I like his monologue at the end. Or it's like very biblical or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like...
That's like the perfect... It was him and John Travolta. And, you know, they have... It's great because they're both, like, two different, not extremes, but so they get shot and all the bullets like miss Samuel Jackson. So then he's like, yo, that was a religious like experience. And then John Travolta's like, nah bro, that's just like he missed. And then they had a conversation and it just shows like the two different ways you can view things. And then Samuel Jackson wanted to like, oh, that's God's way of telling me to like live.
He wants to quit the
and then he wanted to like walk the earth and like just become one with the world. And then John Travolta's like, oh, so you want to be a bum? Like that's not how you live like life.
Okay.
And it was just a very like insightful conversation. I think that's the movie. Like the movie, there's no like grand message, but each of the things were like slice of life like moments, you know.
It was like a collection of scenes that all happened to like intertwine and connect to one another, but.
And I think each scene had like a gravity to it. Like even in the basement scene, like it was horrible and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, Marcellus Wallace, the guy, he was trying to kill.
Dang, you know the names and everything.
He was trying to kill Butch, Bruce Willis. Yeah. And they were like, you know, beefing. Then Bruce Willis.
But then they end up,
Butch escapes, and he's like, you know, like I know he's trying to kill me, but no one deserves that. Like he was able to look past that and go in and save him. Like I watched that and that hit me. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff like that. And then the another part.
I want to look at my letterbox. Keep talking, but I think I did a letterbox review and I want to tell you it.
There's one part of the movie where you know Butch is in the hotel with his girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah. The French
and then
girl.
she forget like all he cares about is the watch. You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you know, they give a whole backstory about what that watch went through.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I can't leave, you know, like, and I'm like, damn, that hits. Like, it's just like a
Who
like
did she end up forgetting them? Like, was it her fault?
Yeah, like she left it on the.
She did leave it.
What do you call that? Like next to the bed.
The nightstand.
She left it on the nightstand.
It's not loading.
And that was the only thing he cared about, and so he had to go back and get it. And like, I get that, you know, because like, he's gonna go through life like being like, damn, my grandfather's watch. Anyways, Yuvia, it was 6 storylines and they were all very real.
Okay.
Like it was like a taxi driver. So there's one scene with the taxi driver. He picks up some dude and he drops him off at a house. And whatever, he drops him off, he leaves. And then you see him like pissed. He starts like, he parks and he starts hitting his wheel. And you don't know why. And then later on, like they kind of go back to his story. And he picks up another dude. And he's like, yo, I just dropped off some dude at my own house. And like his wife had opened the door.
Okay.
So like his wife's cheating on him. You get me?
Oh.
And I was like, damn, like that's deep.
Does she not know that he's a taxi driver? Like, does she not know?
Yeah, but I guess, I mean, how do you plan? Because he was like coming home early. So I bet he's usually not doing routes in that area. So he was coming home early and then...
Did he also, like, was he going to go to his house, his own house?
Like he picked up a
right
route.
After that ride?
Yeah, like he picked up a route.
So did he just go with the guy to his house?
because the guy didn't know exactly like the exact address. He's like, yo, like go down this street, and he's like, oh, drop me off like right here, like the guy in the back, and then he drops him off, and then he goes up to a house, he knocks on the door, a woman opens, and he goes in. And then I remember when I first watched it, because like you see that scene,
you don't know what it is,
and then you see the guy in the back is on the phone, and he's like talking to like a person, and then he's like, oh honey, or like, I'm picking up some oranges, I'll be there soon. And then that happens, and then he starts screaming at his wheel, and at first I'm like, oh, he probably feels lonely, he heard that conversation about honey, he's like, damn, I wish I had like a girl or something. Then it comes back to that scene, and it's like, no, like he's getting cheated on. And then it's like
that's insane, actually, to drop your like the guy who's your wife is cheating, like right at the, that's crazy.
And like I was like, oh,
that's actually very creative of them.
And there's just a bunch of like, so the 6 storylines, they were all kind of like that. They were all very like deep. And those are the movies
visceral.
I like. It was, yeah, and like I feel like someone could watch that movie and be like, damn, that movie's like depressing. But what was interesting is everyone in the movie and the other storylines, they were all in like disastrous like conditions of life, but they all had like moments of humanity. They all like helped out some person.
Is that like the overarching, is there like an overarching message, like a plot, or
I wish,
is it one of those things?
So like the director, the thing about the Miami Film Festival is the directors are there after the movie for a Q&A.
Wasn't Tom, what's his name, Hiddleston,
I don't know,
the guy who played Loki, wasn't he there at Miami-Dade College?
I know he was there at Miami-Dade College for like an acting thing.
Oh, it wasn't a part of the festival?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But the director went, and then I had like a question for him, but I find out that he didn't write the script. So I feel like the question I had was for the writer, not for the director. Because I wanted to ask the writer, is this how you view life, or is this how you wish life was?
The director still could have probably answered something. Because the director is adapting that written piece to the screen,
Yeah, but it was the writer's like the writer created the story.
Yeah.
The director probably read it and like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And like, he's like the visual guy.
Yeah.
But the writer is the one who, wrote the story, so I wanted it from the writer's mouth.
Yeah. I hear you. But that's the thing, when I've written my stuff, when you talk about like, is it how you view life or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know, that actually is very interesting, because I feel like it depends on the person, but I feel like for me, a lot of it, like what I've told you, it's like just insane, like intrusive thoughts. Like, what if like the absolute worst, like horrible thing happened, or like, or like the most like melodramatic thing. So I don't know if that's necessarily like viewing life in that way. It's more just kind of like, let's see, we can't, it's because these things are like faux pas, or these things like will never happen in real life, so let's like act them out and see how they would be.
That's what writing
in like
is
a pretend way.
Like you write it out and you kind of like, because like these ideas, or like creativity, whatever that is, it's like ideas just come out of their own like source. So it's like, oh, what would happen if, I don't know, this happened, right? And then you just kind
of run with
you're answering yourself, like, oh, this is like my view of life, and this is what I think would happen.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of points in the movie.
Like a view of life, though. I mean, maybe with that specific movie, because it deals with those like life themes. I don't know. I've never seen it though, but like from what you're telling me, you know, more like real like life sad themes. Maybe happy too.
There was one scene. It's like this couple, and they're on the metro, and they're arguing, and then the person in front of them just like passes out. Completely passes out.
Oh my God.
And they're like, oh, doctor, whatever. And they both get the guy, and they walk him like to the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, like would people do that? Like, would people go
that's an
through
interesting
like?
question. I think they would.
You think so?
If someone like passes out right in front of you,
you don't think they'd be like, just call 911 and be like, okay, I did my part?
Well, okay. Well, I feel like I would call 911 and then like wait for them to get there.
Okay.
Is that Like, how is that? You know?
I think most people would do that, but to like carry the guy all the way to the hospital.
That no. Yeah.
And then they go to the hospital and they admit
Yeah.
the guy in.
I mean, it depends on how far is the hospital.
I think they took a taxi, and I think that's where like the taxi driver came back in. He was like the guy driving them.
Okay.
So it kind of connected a little bit.
Yeah.
And they go to the hospital, and then they're like, oh, like this guy has like no immediate family, and then this is his address. And they go to the dude's house to try to like see if anyone's there, to alert them that this guy's in the hospital. Yeah. I'm like, damn, would people do that? I think it kind of says more about me too, because I'm like, it was like
it's
inspiring.
cynical.
It was inspiring. I'm like, damn, like I feel like people wouldn't do that.
I don't know.
And then they're at the hospital, and they actually go to the dude's house. And then there was like a kid in the house.
Was it who went to the house? Was it the people on the metro?
Yeah, so it was like a couple.
The couple went to the house?
Yeah, so they go to the hospital.
That I feel like people wouldn't go that far.
And then they're like, yo, he has no like whatever, and they go to the house,
Yeah.
and then they go in and then there happens to be a child there by himself. So I'm guessing it was like the dude's like son or whatever.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know if people would go that far. I mean, definitely, I feel like with today, it's very much like, I'll just hand it off to the authorities. I'll hand it off to the 911. Then you guys can take care of it.
I wonder if maybe, because the conditions in the movie were like poor. It was like poor people.
Okay.
I wonder maybe if there's a sense of like camaraderie of everyone being in like poor conditions.
Like more of like, okay, we got to lift each other up and help each other out kind of thing.
Do you think it's like that, or do you think it's more of like a
Where
dog
was it set?
dog
It was Mexico
City?
Okay.
I guess the way I imagined it was more like dog eat dog, like I gotta just like fend for myself. And I saw that and I'm like, damn, like it was inspiring.
I think you can find that, I don't know, I feel like it can be dog eat dog like everywhere. Maybe there's other like communities and societies that are like more communal and more willing to like lift you up when you're down. But I don't know like what it's like in Mexico City. I feel like I can only kind of speak for the vibe here, and I feel like it is more like I'll help you out, but like to an extent. You know, and there is kind of a lack of that, like, no, we're a community, I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to help you, I'm going to support you. It is more like, well, I got to focus on me and myself, and me being like me trying to help myself out. Like, I gotta focus on myself too.
Do you think it's like,
and it's like, oh, that's why we have ambulances and the police and like that's why we have all that stuff.
I was about to say that. Do you think it's because either we trust our like
the system,
like
because the system isn't even that.
I'm saying, like, do we have a view of our like system that it works?
No.
Versus maybe
but
in
that's the
Mexico
irony.
City, like I feel like in Mexico City, they're like, yo, like,
yeah,
like you call an ambulance, they might not even show up. Like I feel like maybe they have that type of thought where it's like, if no one helps this person, they might die.
Yeah.
Versus here might be like, okay, if I call 911, they're gonna show up and they're gonna help him.
True, it's like a bit better. Like at least they show up, but there is a heavy distrust. I feel like for the system, for the healthcare, for like the overall everything system. So it's funny how we are more individualistic here, but it's not even that like the system that could make up for it actually does make up for that. To actually give you the support that someone would need. You hear what I'm saying? Like, it's not.
I think people might like, in certain moments, maybe they trust the system more just so they don't have to like care.
Right.
So like one thing I kind of hear a lot about.
Right. It's like picky and choosy.
Like one thing I hear a lot is people are like, oh, I don't give money to the homeless. There's like homeless shelters. So in that moment,
you're absolving yourself.
In that moment, they're like, oh, homeless shelters are like good and effective.
Yeah.
And then they don't like take responsibility.
Like, yeah, the collective responsibility for like, you know, to do good unto one's neighbor or whatever.
Kind of just like pass it on.
But then I feel like in the I don't know, it also depends on how much money you have. If you have more money, you're gonna have better like services for your needs. Healthcare, food, all that stuff. It's like your housing, you know, you don't have to worry about that stuff. But like if you are poorer, there is going to be more of that, like, they're not really helping me anyway. I feel like. Even if you are middle class, like middle of the road, there's a lot of things that it's like, oh, like I can be, like I went to urgent care the other week. I'm fine. But my dad was coming into town and I had tickle in my throat and my dad was like, can you go get tested? It's like, the only place for me to get tested would be like an urgent care.
Tested for like COVID? Or just tested for like anything?
Because my dad keeps getting strep and he was like, oh, you have a sore throat? Like, I want to make sure I don't get strep again. So it's like, okay, fine. But to get like an immediate result, go to urgent care, it's like $50. I mean, no, that's like my insurance. But I'm like, you know,
like $50 out of pocket.
By the way, that was an insane story too, because I went and I was like, you know, can I have a COVID and strep test, please? And the doctor was like, well, I think you just have allergies, and like was explaining to me all the allergy stuff. And then I was like, I paid $50. Can you please just test me for COVID and strep? And he got mad. He was like, well, the reason why you come here and pay the $50 is for, you know, a doctor's expert opinion. And I was like, oh, and I was like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm like, my dad's just coming to town. Can you please just like give? And what I was thinking is like, you can't like commodify healthcare and not expect me to advocate for what I want. You know, because when you are buying something, you know, typically like the whole customer service thing is like, you got to make sure that the customer is satisfied, is pleased. And so they're basically doing the same thing with healthcare, except getting rid of like the customer service part. It's like, you're still expecting me to like pay you all this money, which is like I'm going to Target or something to pay for whatever I need, but then get mad at me when like I ask for what I want. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if it was like a reduced price or even free, and then you could be like, no, sorry, this is my opinion, I'm the doctor, whatever. It's like, okay, I didn't really lose that much money. But if I'm paying $50 and me as the customer, I'm not getting what I want, I'm gonna be like upset. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
Do you see that dynamic?
He got, like,
it's
mad
like,
at you.
He kind of snapped at me. And then I said, like, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm sorry. And he was like, but then he told me I wasn't being rude. So maybe he was this kind of person, which I don't like it when people do this.
It's
like
kind of like passive aggressive.
No, it's like whenever I try to get a word in, he gets threatened and feels like I am interrupting him. And so it felt like to me he was just trying to like explain to me like basic things about like sinuses and sore throat that I'm like, I'm 21, I already know, and I also have Google. So like trying to explain to me this stuff, and it's like, and I was just like, and when I would like try to tell him about like my symptoms or like explain my situation, he would like be like blah blah blah, blah and like try to keep talking, and like it was like almost as if I was being rude. And I'm like, all right, talk your whatever then. I'll just listen. Like,
that's interesting.
It felt like I was like, dude, what?
Do you feel that way?
I got a lollipop though at the end. I did get tested and it was negative.
Do you feel that way with like all doctors? You think doctors in general kind of like that?
I do have a problem with a lot of the doctors, honestly, because it feels like you come in really quick and like, I want to talk to you about what I'm experiencing, and I want you to help me fix whatever is going on. You know, but they can be very dismissive and very like, oh well, you know, and it's very quick. Like the doctors, I think the average doctor's visit is like 15 to 17 minutes. Like it is.
I think that's why it might be like
they pump you and pump you and pump you out.
They have like what, 10 people waiting in the waiting room.
So that's the thing. I mean, I get it. Like they are probably overstretched and overstressed, but we need to fix it, because with social work, which is my major, it's like you focus on a person, and like you're managing their case. That's what case management is. And I feel like that's what doctors should do. It's like you're managing your patient's case, and you should check in on them and make sure that they're doing okay. Or like when they meet with you, it's like, all right, let's try to work with you to see how we can get you to like your most optimal, basically. Like to make sure that you are okay, that you're not feeling bad. That's what doctors are for, but it doesn't feel like it's what it is. It feels like it's more like, oh, you feel this, I'm going to give you just like something to like cover the pain, but nothing to actually like fix it. Or if it is something to fix it, it's like surgery, which is like really invasive, and who knows the after effects of that. And it's just it's like either a Band-Aid on like an open wound, or it's like, you know, a machine gun to something. It's like these are not. I don't love the way that we do this here.
I think it's similar.
It's not person centered.
You know, it's I agree with what you're saying. I just don't think it's like feasible, just because like
But
the
why?
amount, because there's a certain amount of like efficiency that I guess they need to do, like the amount of people they work with. Like I feel like it wouldn't be possible for them to like check in on every patient, and I think like this is very similar to the argument against like standardized testing and grades, because it's like there's so many people that need to be like evaluated and educated that you can't like be like, okay, this is your personal program or this is your personal program. They're just like, okay, let me just give you a test and see like where you're at, you know.
But
like,
let me tell you something, because with case man, what we've done in our classes, like you have a person and then you write up like a plan for them. I didn't do it in my internship, but like you write up like a plan for them of like improvement, of basically, you're here right now, where do we want to get you? Why can't doctors do that? And there's also so many people who want to be doctors. Like there is going to be an influx. Like there's so many people getting college education. Like there's so I would imagine there's going to be so many doctors and nurses. And I want to ask you this. It's like, or not ask you this, but I'm just thinking, like, why compromise good health care just because it's going to take a little longer than like what we're used to? You know what I mean? Like we can still have efficiency. Like I'm not saying don't be efficient, but why just keep it like kind of sloppy, kind of the way it is now, just because it's more efficient? Is it more efficient if you're not actually helping the person? You know what I mean?
I think it all just comes down to money. When it, like at that point, more efficient, more money, and that's.
But then that's the thing. The healthcare then isn't about the person experiencing their pain. It's about the money that they can give you, and that's, you don't control when you get sick. You can do things to mitigate it, but ultimately people just get screwed, and then they have to pay all this money because of bad luck. I have a problem with that. It has to be patient centered, not money centered. It's not fair.
I agree, but I don't think it's feasible. Like I agree.
But why can't we try to figure out a way for it to be feasible instead of being like, oh, it's not feasible?
Like I think just like money is just like how things move around. You know, like doctors aren't gonna work. Like doctors aren't gonna do 8 years of schooling to not make like 6 figures.
Right.
I think that's just how the world works, and I think in order to get like patient-centered care, I think you could get that if like someone were to open a hospital that's focused on patient-centered care.
Yeah.
But
like out of the kindness of their heart,
I guarantee like it would probably cost more than the regular hospital. Like if it was like, oh, this hospital, like if you go here, you're
like the
gonna get
stuff. Yeah.
And that's how like you know, look at like any like customer service oriented business.
Yeah.
The hotel that actually treats you like a human costs like the most.
More. But then I think it's hold on. Okay. So what was I gonna say? Now I lost the train of thought. Okay, healthcare. I just lost it. Healthcare. We're talking about healthcare.
Healthcare and like feasibility and like money.
Oh, I got it back. Okay. Okay, so you know, I don't know if you know this, but with some industries, like for example, like the meat industry is subsidized by the government. So that's why a lot of the meat that you can buy is like cheaper than like plant-based meat, because the government isn't subsidizing plant-based meat, they're subsidizing like real meat. Okay. So I'm thinking, if we take the money that we're already using from the government to make certain things cheaper, why can't we just like take it, well, not necessarily change like increasing the money that we're paying, but rearranging where these subsidizations or whatever are going. You know what I mean? We also spend a lot on our military, like billions and billions, like way more than any other. And I know it's like, oh, we have to be strong, but if we like took $1 billion, you know, from that like 8 billion or whatever, however much we're spending on military, and just like subsidize it to make healthcare cheaper, not necessarily making like what we pay more, but just like taking what we already pay and like giving it to where it actually matters, like where it counts. What's the problem in that?
I feel like I don't know enough about our tax system to be able to answer that like effectively.
And I'm not an expert either, but I'm just putting it out there. Like if we rearrange like what we're already paying, I mean, you can actually put it where it counts.
I feel like the argument I've always heard, obviously like I don't know enough to be able to like confirm this, but I think people argue that if you were to leave it to the government, the quality of healthcare would go down. Like that's some people's argument for like
no, you can
privatize healthcare and all that, because when you keep it like as a what do you call it, like not nonprofit, you keep it like a business
private,
private,
like
it's just like more efficient.
But the problem with when it becomes for profit, it's not about you anymore, it's about your pocket. And that is what I have a problem with. Like it shouldn't be about your pocket, it should be about like you, you know. And I think like with the meat industry isn't owned by the government. They are private industries, but the government just gives them money to like help them do their thing, you know. So that's what it is. It's like it can still be like private, like it's not owned by the government, but the government will give them money to not. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know how we got here.
I don't know either.
Who's a plane?
When it comes to like taxes and all that.
No, because who likes taxes? Nobody likes taxes. But like, if we're already, we should just be more efficient with it. Like everybody's got to eat. Everybody gets a cold. Everybody needs some sort of shelter. Everybody you know what I mean? Like there's these things where it's like you'd think, like the U.S. is the wealthiest nation in the world, but it's embarrassing how much we do not care for our citizens. Like it's embarrassing how many people are struggling, who are homeless, who are starving.
Our quality of living is like,
who are getting cancer from the food that is the chemicals that are allowed to be put in the food. It's like awful. It's embarrassing.
I took a class in national relations and we learned about all these metrics of like quality of life.
Yeah.
And the United States was like 10th or something. Or my 15th.
10th in the world?
Or like 15th, like quality of life.
And you think like, oh, the U.S. is amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be high. Honestly, the 15 is not too bad though. I will say 15 is not. I was thinking it would be worse, but 15 is actually not horrible. So I guess that's
you would
good.
think we're first, but like
from what we talk about, from what we think. That's true.
It's funny. Not
what's
funny,
what's
but it
number
was
one?
eye-opening.
Sweden or Norway or something?
Around there, yes.
Finland?
Like, Sweden is like number 1.
All right, let's go.
I went to Europe, and I was in Amsterdam, and I started talking to these like 30-year-olds. And we were just talking. They were there for like a bachelor party or whatever. They were asking me what I was doing. I'm like, oh, like I did a study abroad, and I'm just like traveling.
Yeah.
Like trying to like get to know Europe.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I forgot the phrase they said, but they were like, that's so rare, like coming from an American, like that, like curiosity. Like they were like applauding me.
Yeah.
They were like applauding me for being like a curious individual, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, could you elaborate more on that? Like, what's the perception of the United States over here? And they're pretty much just like, oh, like we think you guys are like a joke. And I was like, dang. Like they were like,
we are kind of like, what were we talking? I don't know if we were talking about this on camera, but it's like, I know we were about the guy who plays music. It's like being like overly confident that like what you are saying or doing is like correct. Like I always play the right music at the right time. It's kind of like, it might be like that. Like Americans think we're like the best at everything, but then everybody else is like, you're a joke, man. Like, who are you?
And the dude was talking. He's like, oh, I visited. Thing is, the only thing I didn't like about what he was saying is he only visited like 3 cities, and he was in each city for like less than a week. So I think he went to like LA, and he was like, yo, people in LA were like stupid. And then he just like completely like generalized America based on those experiences. Right. And I was like, I mean, you kind of sound a little like
true, flipping on him.
But he was a little like well-traveled-ish, and he was like, oh, Japan. He said Japan was the most impressive country he's been to. Like everyone was like respectful. Everyone seemed like educated. And he said in the United States, he would talk to people and they wouldn't like know anything about like the world like at all.
Wait, like what?
He said he had this one experience where he talked to someone because he's from Germany, and then someone had asked him like, oh, are the Nazis still like powerful over there? And he was just just like done when he heard that.
He should have been like, yeah. just lie to him completely. Be like, yeah, we're actually still in World War II right now.
I don't know. I feel like there's people like, I think America has good people, you know?
You're gonna have
like he was
educated
just like
people, but you're also gonna have dumb people.
Exactly, and I feel like that's everywhere. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe as a whole we might be less educated, but
I don't know. I don't know what the metrics are.
I just didn't like how you generalized so much.
That's fair.
Like I think there are some nice people like in the like out when I go to Michigan to visit my sister. There's a lot of like nice people. Like they're just very familial and like homely and.
In the Midwest, they get a good reputation for being very friendly. I don't know how much of it is genuine, but they definitely get. I don't know honestly, because there are going to be Europeans that also don't know. I don't know, like you can't overgeneralize. You can't do that. I don't know. Oh, I wanted to say about Japan. I've never been. I would love to go, but I don't know if I just like personally agree with some of, because it's to be very respectful, and which I agree with, but like you have to be very quiet. Like you can't be bringing attention to yourself. And part is like, well, if I want to like be extroverted and to like talk to people and whatever, like sometimes that might be considered rude because
that's
you're
like
supposed to be like
over there.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't even go on your phone in like the subway. Like if you talk on your phone,
you're not
that's
supposed
like
to. You're supposed to leave the train, and so part of me's like, I don't know. I guess it is just different. Like I want to respect their culture, but a part of me is like, I like community. I'm big on community. So
I've thought
how do
the
you
same
have that
thing.
if you're not like, hey?
I've thought the same thing. I've always wondered what like the psychological state of people in Japan are. Like,
you feel like, are they lonely or what?
Even
like,
just that, like how
do you get married if you like I don't know.
Like it's just they're so like, what's the opposite of individualistic? Like
very like communal, very collective.
They're very collective. Like they're a collectivist society. And like who's to argue which one's better? But I don't know. I feel like when you like have like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this whole thing is like.
Oh, I love that.
This whole thing is
I
like
love Maslow.
Individuation, like self-individuation.
Oh yeah, self-actualization.
Self-actualization. It's like, can you do that if you're just like.
Oh, it got that one.
Damn, that was beautiful. Can you do that if you're like just so ingrained in a community?
But I wonder how actually connected they are. I don't know. I'm just speaking from what I've seen on the internet too.
I can imagine they're very like familial.
Like, are they lonely? Because a part of me was like, if you guys don't really talk to each other, like how are you not lonely? But maybe
it's interesting though.
I don't know.
They seem to have a lot of like, what's the word? I don't know. Like fetish isn't the word, but they seem to have like a culture.
Oh, like schoolgirls? Is that what you're talking about?
Like schoolgirls.
Yeah, there's like creepy...
like the anime girls that are extremely overly sexualized.
Yeah.
I think they have like.
So there's
you could
that
buy
dichotomy.
like sex dolls and like a vending machine. Like their vending machines sell everything. You can buy sex dolls. Like it makes you wonder like.
So it's like they're so like respectful, but then on the inside
they have to like let it out.
But it's not everybody. Obviously, like we can't generalize them as well.
Yeah, I mean we've never been there. We sound pretty ignorant right now.
I know, probably. But I remember seeing this article of people who were just dying. They were just like. They were on the metro or they were on the street and they would just like collapse and die because they were really stressed out with work. So
they're very work oriented.
Very, very work oriented. But I don't know what that's to say about loneliness, but it is like I don't know, but it's not to say things in America are like so much better, but I guess you can't glorify one country to another. Because there are amazing things about Japan. Like, I would love to go to Japan. But then there's things about it where I'm like, oh, I don't know how much I would like that because of like just my personality. Like I don't see it as being rude, but like I feel like they might see me as someone who's like, loud and rude. You know,
I think that's like the great thing about traveling.
Even in Europe too, there was one time where, I mean, to be fair, like, you can be a nuisance. When I was in high school and we went to Germany, we were on a train and it was like a study abroad group, and we were talking, and this lady comes up to us and she was like, just so you guys know, like, people don't really do that here. Like, you can't be talking in, like, in a big group.
She told you that?
But that's a European thing. Like, it's rude to, like, talk in a big group.
How old were you?
I was 15. But that's it, we're American. So, like, if there's a group of 15-year-olds on the train and they're talking, you'd be like, let them enjoy themselves. But then in Europe, it's like, that's rude.
That's interesting, though, because I was talking to Professor Yanni.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Yanni. I was talking to Professor Ivan. I was talking to Ivan.
Ah, okay.
I went to Hot Cocoa Conflict, and Ivan was there.
Love him.
And he's doing, like, some traveling. You know, he's done, like, this Spanish, like, trail where you, like, hike for, like, a month. He's done that, like, multiple times in Spain. I think it's kind of like a religious thing. And he's doing it again. I'm like, damn, like, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's awesome.
So he's been in, like, Europe and Spain. And he said this one story that he says always stuck with him. That he was in, like, a park or something. And there was, like, these two women and, like, a child. And the child was throwing a tantrum. Like, classic textbook, just tantrum.
Yeah.
And the mother just kind of, like, let the child be. Kept on talking to the other mom. And then once the child, like, stopped the tantrum, she was like, yo, like, you know...
Are you done?
Yeah, like, kind of like that. Are you feeling better?
Yeah.
And he thought that was, like, the best way to handle that. He's like, oh, over here, if your child's throwing a tantrum, immediately you're like, shut up, and, like...
Or, like, iPad.
Yeah, over there, he was like... It was almost kind of like a mutual understanding among everyone that, okay, this child's throwing a tantrum, he's just a child.
It's what kids do.
It's what kids do.
Yeah.
So then she just kept on talking, and then...
Yeah.
So I think it kind of goes, like, against... A little bit against what you were saying. Because that woman was like, we
like,
don't
to
do
being
that.
loud and to drawing attention. Like, you're not supposed to draw any attention to yourself. But sometimes, like... I mean, I guess we're 15, so we can keep our voices down. Like, that's what they tell you in school. It's like, like, chatter, like, shut up. Ever since I was a little kid in elementary school, it's like, shut up. You know, because I was, you know, Little Miss Chatterbox. But that's what they want you to do. To just, like, sit down, shut up, and be respectful, pay attention. Whatever.
I can't imagine you as a child. You would probably just...
Bro. Yeah. I gotta bring some of her back, though. You know, that, like, zest for just, like, not... I didn't care. I was telling my one friend, so in first grade, my teacher had this, her name is Mrs. Long. I hope she's still alive. I don't know. But there is this, system where 5 cubes were up for each person. You had 5 cubes. But if you did, like, a little infraction, like if you talked or if you did whatever, like, you get 1 pulled away. And depending on how many you had by the end of the day or, like, by lunchtime, you could get some sort of prize. So, like, if you had the 5 cubes still, you'd get, like, a bigger prize. But if you had, like, 1 cube, I don't know, you probably wouldn't get any. I don't know. But I just remember it would, like, almost every day I do remember it being, like, I would at most have 3.
But every day you do, like, some infraction.
Every day there would be something right. And most I would have 3, but probably less. I was like, I didn't understand what school was. I was like, I remember our first homework assignment, and I was like, what is this? and I didn't do it because I was like, what? I didn't understand. I thought this was, like, still preschool, like, play. I guess something didn't register. I was like, there's kids here, there's friends here. I'm like, what's homework? So I didn't do it, and they're like, yo, you didn't do your homework, and I was like, oh, I was supposed to do that? Like, you're serious? Like, what? Are you kidding me?
You know, in first grade, we had a system where it was your name, whatever, you had list of names, and there were colors. So it was like green, yellow, and red. Okay. And every time you would, like, you know, your first infraction of the day, you'd move it to, like, yellow. And I think the second infraction, you go to red, and then they'd, like, talk to your parents or whatever. Yeah,
wasn't there, like, the stop, like, red light, green light? They had my second grade teacher had a stoplight kind of thing where it's like yellow.
It was kind of like that, but it was like a card.
Or so green, orange, red.
It would be like, it'd always be like that moment where it's like, Richard, move your card, and everyone just like
tensed up. Everyone tensed up.
So I remember, I was like the most like. I was one of the most well-behaved, and I had never gotten a card moved. What does that mean?
I don't know. I feel like you don't stir the pot.
No, but I mean, I was a very like energetic child for sure.
Me too.
I was
That's
very,
where I got my issues from, because I was like very
but
energetic.
I was also very like well behaved too. So
I don't know. I don't think
like I was well behaved, but I was very social as a child. So I remember I had never gotten my card moved, never.
Yeah.
It was like I was like one of the only ones that hadn't gotten the card moved at all. And I remember I was talking to like a girl next to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like cracking jokes or whatever, and I think I made this one joke. I forgot what it was, but we had like a string. I vividly remember it because it was like a pretty like emotional moment. And I remember I like turned it, and I'm like, I'm in handcuffs, or like I'm in jail, to the girl.
It's not even that bad.
But I guess like she was laughing, and maybe I was being loud, and they were like, Nicholas, move your card, and it was just like, boom.
Especially it's like the first time you're
it was
getting
the
like
first time. It was like when
that's traumatic.
I don't know if I might have cried. I'm gonna be honest.
No.
I might have cried. But it was just like a monumental like what?
Yeah, that kind of makes you, because it makes you feel like, oh, you're a bad kid, but it's like, no, I'm not a bad kid. I'm just like, I was cracking jokes. I was just being energetic, and like I didn't know what like structure was. When I was in kindergarten, I actually started kindergarten when I was 4, but then I turned 5 that September. And but I would always get in trouble for like not sitting in my seat. Like I didn't want to sit down. I didn't want to sit. I wanted to move around. And I do remember, this was years later. This is like 4th grade. And my dad had this like he got really into magic. Like I don't even know. He was like I remember going to like magician stores with him, and he was like doing stuff. And so he had these like thumb things where you'd put, it's like thumb skin. So you'd put like a thumb skin on your thumb, so it looked like a thumb. Like you're putting a thumb over a thumb.
Okay, and
like
then you could like pretend to like rip off your thumb or something.
And then if you press it, it would turn red. And so if you're like moving it around, it looked, you could like throw it. So like I could press it and I throw it and I catch it. So it looks like the red ball or whatever is going to this hand, but I'm really just pressing the button. And there was one time I did it. I did it in front of class, and I was doing whatever, but then I like pulled it out of my butt, and my teacher was like, no, sit down. Like she got so mad at me.
Wait, like you pretended
like,
to pull it out?
I pretended to pull it out of my butt. I remember that, and they got so mad at me. But I
That's
was like,
funny.
Yeah, but even after that, like even after once because you're like barely conscious. So even after like I gained consciousness, now let's jump to high school, and I still got that.
High school is when you woke up?
No, I probably woke up in like middle school.
Okay.
But I remember in my junior year, I gave a presentation, and I don't know if I really I didn't rock the boat too much in high school. At least I don't think that I did. I mean, I would joke around, but like not really like in front of class, like with my friends. If the teachers overheard it, maybe that was one thing, but whatever. But yeah, one time I did a presentation in class. We all had to do this presentation of like what our purpose in life is and like what we want to do. And as the opening joke of my presentation, I put like stock images of cocaine and like drugs. I was like, this is my purpose in life. And everybody laughed. Everybody laughed. But I got sent to not the principal, but to the guidance counselor. And they're like, are you okay? Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? And I guess in that environment, I don't know why I thought that was okay. But like we would all kind of joke around in class, even with the teacher. So I was like, "Oh, she's gonna know it's a joke," and she was like, "Well, I have to report it."
Yeah, that
like she has to report it, and I was like, "Oh dang."
I can see why they'd have to, but I can see how it could be funny too.
And then my guidance counselor was like, "Why did you do this?" And I was like, "It's just a joke. I don't know. It's just a joke." But and then the thing a lot of people though did get reported for their presentations, which I thought was so like
a lot of people did.
Yeah, because it wasn't necessarily for the jokes. Well, some of them were. Like this other guy, he joked like it was like a gun joke, but it was like a water gun, and he got reported because there was a water gun.
He brought a water gun.
I don't think he brought it. I think it was like in the picture, like it was like a picture of it.
Gonna be like an assassin or something.
I don't know.
Water gun.
Something like that. And then this other girl also got reported because it was like she sounded like she was like depressed. Anyway, I actually don't know if she got reported. That's what I heard, but it would make sense. Like, just people just boom, 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 getting reported for all. I'm like, why have this project? Like, you need to.
Were you able to finish the project, or did they?
Yeah, they let me finish.
And then they're like, okay, now go.
She let me finish it. But I do remember that moment. That was. I mean, it was like everybody's stand-up comedy routine. You know, like
I'd definitely be like embarrassed if they're like, you gotta go to the guidance counselor. I'd be like, what?
It was a little. I felt bad because I was like, man, I thought we were like kind of chill, but no, that was not. And I guess it's funny, like when you're a girl doing those kinds of jokes, it's like, well, but like girls are supposed to be like, they don't really like rock the boat like that. Like, what girl is like making a joke that she like wants to snort cocaine? Like, that's not. You know what I mean? I feel like that's not. I feel like you have to do it. It's like it's like the dude, the class clown.
The archetypical like class clown is usually like a boy.
So that made me feel like kind of more embarrassed too, especially because I got in trouble for it. You know, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
What'd your dad say? Did you ever tell him?
Oh yeah, no, they knew. Because I had to go to the guidance counselor.
Yeah.
I think they told my parents, and no, they were not happy. They were not, and they did not find it funny. But you know, because my dad and I, we make jokes like, you know, my dad and I will joke about like, you know, horrible random stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like, when it comes to school, because he's a professor, when it comes to school,
no joking around. You
can't do that stuff. Like, you can't mouth off to your. I'm not that I would mouth off, but my sister has more of like, she'll mouth off apparently to her teachers, which like I don't know if I ever did. Maybe I would talk about them behind their back. But like, you know, all kids do that. But yeah, no. Anyway, that's a fun little trip down memory lane.
I had a conversation with a friend. So we have a Snapchat group chat, and so like
you still use Snapchat.
We use it because our group chat is so like old that we use it. We send photos. So we have an iMessage group chat. Yeah. So like, you know, plans and stuff. Yeah. But then we'll send like random photos throughout the day to the Snapchat one. Yeah. And like it's like what 7 years old at this point, so you can like scroll back and there's a bunch of stuff saved. Wow. So one of my friends, he was like in a random moment, he just started like resending a bunch of our old jokes.
Oh no. Yeah, they probably didn't age well.
Honestly, they were like low-key hilarious.
Oh really?
Like, like we were so funny back then, but we would never make these jokes now. Yeah. And it was an interesting like.
That is the thing though too. When I look at pictures or videos of myself from before, I'm like, there were these jokes that I don't make anymore. There are these jokes that I do not make anymore, like these bits, like even just like facial expressions that like I don't do anymore. But I'm like, that was funny. Like, I still think I was kind of funny. And obviously there's like cringe moments. There's gonna be that. But part of me is like, I was kind of a jokester.
A lot of our jokes were like, you know, they were like gay jokes and stuff, but they were like they were just like creative and funny. Right. But we don't make those type of jokes anymore. Right. It was like, is it like we grew out of it? Is it like we've been socialized not to make those jokes anymore?
I think it's like you're not in high school anymore. Like if you guys were probably in that same environment, but also maybe things just get old, so you stop making them. You know.
I can see that.
That is, I actually the other day, you know, because Google Photos, it'll be like, oh, 5 years ago today or whatever. So there was this video, and I used to invite like from time to time a bunch of friends over, and I guess it was like in the middle of the day, and they were playing, I don't know if they're playing GTA, because I didn't see the screen, I just saw like them, but I kind of did this, I just kind of set the camera up, and they were playing Grand Theft Auto, and everybody was just like screaming, and like I think my one friend like killed like a dog in GTA, and everybody was just like losing it. It's horrible, but like just those childhood moments, or like I don't know, just all of us together in my basement, just like being stupid. I miss that
for sure. I think it's much like exploring the taboo together. Like everyone's like, yo, we shouldn't really be doing this, but it's like so fun.
I think it's just like eating. I don't want to curse, but like you're just like doing nothing. You're just like being stupid. Just like absolute zero brain, just like fun. You know, you're just being stupid kids. Now I say that as 21, like I'm so old, but...
You think you can do that now? It's stupid mode?
I'm trying to. I want to. I think it's fun.
It's hard to get into that.
Yeah. It's almost meditative. because once you get older and you can kind of feel your brain switching into becoming more of an adult, and so then you kind of miss and latch on to like the things you did as a kid. But now you kind of have more of like a holistic perspective. So if you want to be like stupid and fun, you can like almost enjoy it more in a way. Because I don't think when I was in that moment, I didn't realize how much like I missed that or enjoyed it in that moment. Like I was worried about all this other stuff, but now I'm not necessarily worried about all this other stuff. I can like have pure like unadulterated, I don't know, enjoyment. Does that make sense?
For sure. I feel like it's harder. I feel like it takes like, you gotta be kind of smart. You gotta get into the zone. You gotta be kind of smart to be able to get into that zone.
Sorry, I just want to check the time because
I
have an appointment at 12:30 on Zoom. But it's fine. It's almost, we can finish up at like 12:10. We'll figure it out. Okay. You were saying.
I feel like there's certain people that I can kind of get into that like stupid mode. But
yeah, some people bring it out of you.
It's still like, it's like a smart type of funny. Like I don't see it as stupid mode anymore.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like improv almost.
Yeah, you're kind of riffing.
Yeah, you're like riffing, and it's like, it's funny because we both know it's like not true. Yeah. The fact that we both know it's not true, it's almost like a social like intelligence almost. Like I don't know, I feel like sometimes I'll make a joke and I'll be like, and I can't think of it right now, so it'll be like spontaneous, but like, yeah. I'll make a joke that's clearly not true.
Yeah.
And I think...
But is it like they kind of just go along with, like, I get what you're saying, it's like kind of improv. Like, yeah, I do that with Alex sometimes too, but I don't know if it's, like we have, I don't know if I can say it, because I don't know if I should say it, but, like there's just some like running character gimmicks.
Okay,
I can say this one. Like, we'll pretend like we're like Southerners, and so we'll talk in a Southern accent, and we'll just kind of say,
okay,
oh, like not like horrible stuff, okay, but like we'll just pretend like we're like stupid Southern people and just like whatever. It's and funny, and like that we're like two brothers that like are in love with each other. Like sometimes things like that. Like it's funny.
That sounds pretty funny.
You know. I do want to make a skit with that though. I love that. One time I did that with my two friends. I think I told you about them, Jack and Liam. Like those are like my friends up in Pennsylvania.
They're like the Sopranos fan. One of them is a Sopranos fan.
Jack is. Yeah. He loves Sopranos, and he's like the film guy. But anyway, one time we were just sitting on Jack's like front doorstep, and I should have recorded it, but we were just talking in like Southern accents for like 10 minutes. But like not as us, just like we were just kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't like it was a performance.
It's like improv.
It was kind of, we were just like messing around. I was like, I should have recorded this because this was so funny. But wait, there's probably some things that like, obviously when you joke around with your friends, you probably don't want that like on some of the stuff on video, you know?
I think on video kind of like ruins it a little bit.
Because you almost kind of have to censor yourself.
Yeah,
sometimes.
You have to censor yourself at least like a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not like as genuine.
But that kind of stuff, oh, that's funny. I do want to write like a skit like that, or just improv with the Southern accent, just completely. I don't even know. I just feel like it'd be so funny though. Anyway.
Would you ever do an improv class? Do you think like being in a
class? I don't think I told you this. I taught an improv class with no qualification over the summer at my internship.
You taught it to who? Like
to kids. Like 13-year-olds, because I took an acting class and I was like, I did improv in like 6th grade. That's my qualification.
How do you teach improv? Like,
I had a book and I was reading about it, but it's just like, it's yes and, literally. You just kind of, you have to riff and you have to keep going, and you can't like block the story. You just kind of go into all these different avenues. You got to like just.
That sounds so fun.
So we would, yeah, and I would be like, okay, somebody pick a place, and somebody pick like what's going on. Like, okay, they're in the mall and there's like a zombie apocalypse, go. Or like the one we did, and it's fun also when other people join in, because then we had a big performance like at the end of the summer camp. It was Breakthrough, and so they performed on the auditorium stage. I don't remember what their actual like performance, the main one, but I do remember like one of our rehearsals, and it was like they were in the woods and they were like werewolves and they were trying to like hide, and it was fun because the one guy who was like helping out with sound and lighting or whatever, he like joined in as the wolf and started like chasing them around the stage, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it's just pure like joy and play. These are kids, you know. So yeah, that I enjoy. And I mean, I remember in 6th grade, like we would just do like little exercises, and you were just like, okay,
I've always thought conversation is a form of improv.
That's actually something I've been doing more. Like, I've been really, even though I took the acting class like a year and a half ago, I've been trying to just live my life like how I was when I was on stage, basically. Like, just being completely in the moment, and like whatever happens, and you go with it. Because I would have so much anxiety basically on my day-to-day life that like I wasn't able to be fully present. But now I'm trying to be fully just in the conversation or wherever I am, just fully in it, and just like whatever happens. And it's kind of like it's a performance in a way, but not that I'm trying to be performative, but it's more like it's like more visceral. Like I'm just kind of like, hey.
I've noticed, now I've kind of always noticed it, but like conversation is one of the most like stimulating things, at least for me.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to.
Good conversation.
Right.
Good conversation, like I get in a flow state. Like I don't even.
Yes, that's what it is.
I don't even think
it's
about
a flow state.
Like checking my phone and like hour 21.
Really, hour 21.
It doesn't even feel that way.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and but like it's hard to get that.
Sorry.
It's hard to get that. Like, I can definitely tell when I'm doing like homework or something. I want to check my phone.
Yes,
Conversation,
it's tough for me to stay focused.
Like conversation, I can just immediately just lock in.
Apparently, also like it feels rude. Like I don't like to check my phone when I'm like I felt bad when I checked the time because I was like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm not, you know what I mean? But I was like,
part of me is like, there's nothing on my phone more interesting than like a conversation right now.
Yeah, and typically when I went to putt golf the other day, which if you know me, you know never to take me to putt golf, please. I think I'm just not a mini golf person. I'm so bad at it.
Is that why you're not a mini golf? Because you're bad at it?
No, I think even if I was good at it, I'd be like, this is boring. But even in that moment, I was like, I'm gonna try not to be on my phone, and I was like holding out. We had like there's 3 courses, each had 9 holes, I guess. And after the second one, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check my phone more. Maybe midway through the second one, I'm just gonna be on my phone more. I'm like texting my mom texted me and like checking my email, you know. But
I can tell when my like attention starts sliding.
But because part of me is like, no matter if I'm like trying to be in this moment, I'm like, but this isn't doing anything.
There's not much to focus on.
There were other people there, and like I guess it could have been more social, but
the thing about like group events, you can't really lock into a conversation without seeming like.
And I didn't really know them. I only know like 2/3, you know.
I feel like 3
and they
people
had their friends, and that's fine. But a part of me is like, I don't really know what to. I didn't feel like I had anything to provide, and I wasn't going to force it, so I didn't. But then that might come off as like rude. But I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel like. I don't want to force anything.
I feel like 3 people is like the max.
For putt? That's also the thing.
like a conversation.
True.
Like an actual dialogue.
But like people were kind of like hopping around and. But anyway, it was whatever. I do not feel the need to go to putt. I mean, honestly, there's this putt place in Sarasota. I'm going to Sarasota after I graduate, and like maybe I'll go there for like funsies because it's a cute place. But like, I don't know, man. I think I have found something that I genuinely like do not derive enjoyment from. You know. At least you find out what you like and what you don't like. But I had a point earlier, and I know it's like I'm segueing back, but I thought about what you were saying about the tantrum thing with the kid, and I understand that being a parent must be hard. I'm not a parent, but I understand like how difficult it must be to take care of another human being and they have to like you know, direct their attention to something all the time. But the parents that I've seen, like, just put them in front of an iPad, I'm like, this is horrible. It just feels like this is going to be super bad for their health. And I can only imagine how difficult being a parent must be. And so I get that it helps you. And some people are in really, really dire situations, you know, like if, let's say, they're homeless or low income, and I would see that at my internship, like, they're doing it because they're just trying to, you know, survive. But I'm like, this next generation, I'm really scared for. I mean, we were exposed to TV, and even we got smartphones, like, in middle school, but...
It was middle school, though. Yeah, I mean, like,
you
so
weren't, yeah.
We still grew up, like...
A little bit.
Like, you know, I hung out with kids in my neighborhood. Like, that's, like, I still grew up kind of with that.
But they were not even that, like, these, like, kids are, like, they're, like, toddlers. Like, they're not even, like, playing with kids. They're not even, like, at the age to play in the street with their friends. It's, like, they're, like, with those toys. Like, with the jingly toys. You know, that's, like, the age that they're at, but they're watching, you know,
At least with toys, videos. You kind of got to imagine.
Yeah.
You got to keep your brain on at least a little bit.
I don't know. I know it's like I'm passing judgment, but it's more like I am scared for their health and their brain. And what are they going to develop into? What's going to happen to us? It's like you're giving opiates to a baby. How do you think they're going to be?
I've heard like our literacy rates are like going down.
That too. And I'm addicted to my phone, and I know it.
Lately, I've been on my phone a lot more.
Because even though I read yesterday, because I don't read every day, which I think I should. I finished Breaking Dawn, by the way. I don't know if you knew I was reading that. I finished it.
Did you post that on your story, like at the beach or something?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't. That wasn't when I finished it.
Okay, yeah, but I remember you reading it.
Yeah,
I remember you starting it.
But even though I read yesterday and I finished the book, and that's like, okay, I was doing something that's like not on my phone. It's like more natural. I still was on my phone at the beginning and at the end of my day, and even this morning. I was like scrolling, and I'm like, ugh. It's like one of those things where it's like, I know it's bad, but I still do it.
For sure.
You know?
And I feel like I understand my brain enough. Like my brain craves like stimulation.
Right.
Like I know that.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get started on a longer type of like outlet. So I know with like Instagram, with a book, it kind of takes me like at least 15 minutes to like really like get into it.
Yeah, to focus. But with Instagram, you can just boom. Oh, how did that happen? How did that happen? What? I was calling like my mentor. How did that happen? What? Anyway. Okay, hold on. I'm getting a call. Hello? Did I call you? Or did... Oh my gosh, I didn't know. I do not know how that happened. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Well, yes, I wanted to text you. I'm sorry because my parents just got in yesterday, but I wanted to text you. Thank you so much for the lunch and everything. I really appreciate it. I know I didn't send you a message right after. I'm sorry that it came from a butt dial though, but I was meaning to text you. I know. That's the thing. A part of me is like, I think my time here with FIU is done. Like, I think I've made that decision. But yeah, I'm gonna come back and visit. And I'm glad you. I hope the present was good. It was enough. But I appreciate everything you've done. Oh really? Oh good. Oh, send a picture when it's done. Thank you. I'm excited. I'll send you pictures. You'll see. All right. Thank you so much again. You're the best. All right. Sorry for butt dialing. Okay, bye. That's so funny. How did that... I do not know how that happened.
That's crazy. My dad always butt dials me. I'm like, how do you butt dial
I wasn't even...
On a touch screen?
I don't know how I did that. I do not know how I did that. Because she didn't... like reach out
like
to me.
It wasn't like a missed call that you just like answered. That's weird.
I'm at a loss because I wasn't like I was holding my phone down. It's like, oh, call this person. They might have thought that I would say. Anyway, am I getting bit?
What were we talking about?
Anyway, I should probably.
You have to go?
I do have to go. It's like 20
Damn.
minutes, 21 minutes I have. Anyway, thanks for listening. I love this.
Thanks for listening.
This setup. Thank you for being here. We've been talking.
I'm gonna miss this.
We've been talking about doing a video for a long time because we just talk and talk. But,
yeah.
And I'm leaving in a couple of days, so end of an era, end of a chapter. But it'll be okay. I'm actually kind of excited. I've been watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and even though it's like a dark comedy, it just makes me excited. I'm like, I'm going back home. I'm going back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna miss you for sure.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna miss you too. I'm gonna miss just like being able to walk and be like, because I would walk and like, oh, I'd run into you. I'd run into like all these other people, and I'm just not gonna have that. But maybe I'll feel bad some days. Like the post semester depression will sit in for sure. But I don't know. I'm honestly kind of just excited.
That's how like it should be for sure. That's a good thing.
And I guess that is maybe God wanted everything to happen that happened in this past year, because I mean, you know, my senior year I wasn't really like doing much. I wasn't really like able to do much. But maybe it saw how I was my junior year. In my junior year, I was very attached to FIU. I was like, I don't want to leave. I have all this stuff here. I have all this stuff going on. Like, I can't imagine what it's going to be like. Like, I don't want to graduate. Like, I just remember when that semester ended, and I was like, I graduate in a year. I'm not ready. Now I'm like, I'm ready. I'm so ready to just go home. I'm so ready. But yeah, thank you for being my friend, man, and for talking to me and just like,
for sure.
Yeah. Quality time.
Pretty sweet.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
We got phones. We got Instagram. We'll finish it with that.
Right.
Thank you.
That's a good cutaway.
All right, man. Talk to you.
Bye.